Hi there, I am Adam Kirbas. I am I am here in Turkey, Ordu, in the Black Sea region. It is still the pandemic, and I hope everyone is doing fine. This is my podcast, and it is the seventh episode. The last time we talked about significant transformations, and I realized that we have to talk a bit more about Marxist definition of transformation, because the Marxist definition, it is not only of transformation but as well as about change, is very important within the literature, and I decided it indeed demands further attention. But to say something beforehand is that I read Marx in German. It is in German you have pretty much free access to Marx, despite the fact that Marx was exiled and lived in Great Britain. His works are mostly written in German, and it is somehow difficult to translate from the German originally into English, especially some certain keywords. Marxism works with those keywords. Those keywords are in a way important, but if you translate them from German into English, they somehow become muddied up. This is not really, it is not very accurate, and German, especially, it's never accurate. I mean, if you translate from one German, for one language into another, there are always some meaning, there's always some divergence in the meaning, in the understanding. However, I mean, I try to translate some of the important vocabularies, but then later I gave it up out of the simple reason. I mean, this is not a philosophical inquiry whatsoever. This is just a very fast summary. And I mean, I wrote even a seminar paper about Marx, especially his most important work. This is the Kapital, das Kapital in German, and everyone who is a Marxist or is interested in Marxism should read it. I mean, it is, you don't even have to be interested in Marxism. Like I said before, it is one of the attempts to understand an economic system. This is one of the few attempts we have. I mean, like I said, you don't have to like Marx. You can say whatever you want against him, but one thing you have to give to him, that this deep analysis is pretty much unmatched even within the Marxism. So I don't know any work which even comes close to the depth of Marx's works, not even Friedrich Engels. I mean, those who know a little bit about leftism, Marxism, know that Friedrich Engels and Marx had, despite the fact that they are collaborated, they had a different perception. They came partially from a different thought school, however. But again, I say Marx was in some instances inaccurate, and today I want to talk about one of these inaccuracies. This was that he predicted the downfall of the capitalistic system. Well, it did not happen, and some reasons why we will talk about it in a way or whatever. But first, it is important to talk about this change. I mean, what would lead to a proletarian dictatorship, this overthrow of the capitalistic system. Please mark, this is not only in the Marxist literature. This term is as well as used to explain the change of society, the change of some issues within the society, the social structure, and so on. And again, the Marxist understanding of the capitalistic system was, I will give a brief overview, that the society is led by the allocation of money, so everyone is part of it. The capitalistic system is actually, this is very important, not led by capitalist itself or by the capitalist. Rather, the system works on its own, somehow like a tornado or something like that, and which then sucks in all those elements. And the main driving force here is to the allocation of money. So this leads to a production. So every capitalist competes with each other and wants to produce more and more goods, but of course then this leads to a saturation. This means that fewer and fewer products can be distributed, fewer and fewer buyers can be found, and this leads to an overproduction. This is what you want to call a bubble. This leads to an overproduction, and then in the end to the downfall of the capitalistic system. I mean, this was a very brief and short overview, and then eventually this would be the time where then the workers would gather all together, would build unions, and then dictate a new terms of a society. I mean, this is what pretty much actually what happened in the French Revolution, and Marx pretty much gives this or reiterates this. And if you see or if you read a little bit of the French Revolution, there are very great audio books. For example, I've been listening to one, and if you read, there were actually parts of the French Revolution, an attempt which would came close to Marxist or in a communistic constitution, but it never made it. And Marx somehow reiterates this, that the people would take over and then dictate the terms of a free society. I mean, we all know where the French Revolution led to. This was brutal terror, and in the end, and this all ended in the restoration. However, what I want to talk about is the problems of this assumption of this overproduction, and why I think that this was not true. It is not only my perception, but indeed, please note, there are a lot of literature about Marx. I mean, Marx is one of the most cited as well as hated philosophers. So you will find a lot about him. Of course, in German, you will find more in German. And I've noticed some of the discussions in German are actually more accurate. They go more into the depth because of the language, because Marx wrote in English, wrote in German, mostly wrote in German. However, but I will again summarize them. It is my goal is to make everyone understand. Well, since I talked the last time of significant changes. Well, the first critique is that Marx, in a way, saw that workers would come together and build a union, but what Marx did not see was that the business class as well as the entrepreneurs would come together as well. For Marx, it was somehow that every capitalist, every business owner hates the guts of each other, and they would compete against each other no matter what, and this would in the end lead to its downfall. I mean, there's one very great German socialist, Max Weber. Again, this is worth reading, but he wrote. This was again all in German. I don't know how much you have access to in English. However, and he wrote that this is actually not the case, and it is indeed not the case. And I can give you an example from Austria, my home country. And in Austria, in my home country, the business association and the entrepreneurs, they indeed created some sort of a union for entrepreneurs. This is called the Wirtschaftskammer. And in this, it is rather conservative elements. No, actually, that's not true. It is for reasons I will explain maybe later. It is both parties take part in, but this is a union, the Wirtschaftskammer, which is built for business owners, and this is part of the Sozialpartnerschaft in Austria. And this Sozialpartnerschaft has somehow two wings. One wing is the Wirtschaftskammer, the business owners, and the second wing is the workers' union. And this is some sort of an institution in Austria where then people, workers as well as businessmen, come together and talk about issues, political issues. I mean, this is some sort of a union in Austria. I cannot go into detail about the Sozialpartnerschaft, but nevertheless, please note that this is very important, that I will probably have to talk about it as well, because this in Austria, at least this is my perception, the Sozialpartnerschaft, or in general the union, somehow loses its purpose if representatives of the workers' union as well as representatives of the entrepreneur union belong to the same party. This is the case in Austria. This is even further. There is even further tension, because in Austria, as well as in many European countries, many companies are state-owned, and those posts within the companies, those CEOs, they mostly rise through the ranks because they are member of a party. However, I am not against the workers' union. I was never against the workers' union, but in Austria, you see that somehow workers' unions, especially if this is some sort of an blurry construct, which is the case in Austria, that you do not see what is really behind, what's been going on behind the scenes. It is undemocratic, and since everyone is in a way a puppet of the parties, so this is you have to be aware that this somehow is against the purpose of a union, because a union, especially a workers' union, is indeed in some instances necessary to help workers, not to be exploited. But if this then becomes some sort of is being under the umbrella of one party or two, then this is somehow loses its purpose. However, to cut things short, I think I need to talk about this, why you or how you can even, and this is possible, to drive a workers' union into extremes so that it somehow does not suit the purpose of the workers and so on. However, but what Marx as well as did not consider were actually monopolies, and monopolies are this is in one branch. This is mostly one company which rules the entire branch